Well, now we'll see a game I played against Julio Sadorra in the Olympia 2006 in Baku. And well, I wanted to show this game because it's possible to do things well. It's not always bad. We are not going to lose every game because it looks like I'm going to lose every game, and it's not obviously not like that. And I'm also happy that I have the score sheet, so we can see a little bit of the times that we spent during the game. And also, well, I only take the time I spent actually, because I basically don't care so much what my opponent does. I actually try to play against the pieces only. I don't care if I try to not to care if my opponent is Magnus Carlsen or the worst player in the world. I try to play against the pieces. It's not so easy to do it, but it's a good thing, and that's why I don't record the times my opponent is spending, because I'm trying to manage my time properly, and I don't really care if my opponent is spending too much or too little time. I don't want this to influence my game. I want to spend the appropriate time for my own play. Anyway, here's the score sheet, as you can see, and I will just check a little bit from time to time. And this was a game that happened to be very important. Well, I'm speaking about openings a lot, and in this one, I got one of the biggest preparations in my life. That's why I'm going to show it. Okay, e4, e6, French defense, d4, d5, knight d2, and he plays this bishop e7 line, which is quite a good line actually. And for this game, I prepared c3. And of course, before the game I had some knowledge, but on the day of the game I also prepared quite a lot about it, and I was pretty happy with the ideas I found. So he played c5, which is one of the main moves, probably the best move. I took dc5, bishop c5, bishop d3. Till here everything is more or less normal. Knight c6, knight f3, knight f6, castle, and castle. Maybe his move castle is not the best, but it looks like the most obvious. And here he played castle and he ran into my preparation. This is move 8 right now. I had prepared to play e5, and after knight g4, for example, I would play knight b3, and then I'm in time to protect this pawn on e5 with queen e2 or with bishop f4, and white is slightly better. So after e5, he played knight d7. I go knight b3 again, the same trick, attacking the bishop. He has to escape with the bishop. Bishop e7 will be also normal because it avoids bishop h7, the typical bishop h7 sacrifice. But he went quite fast, bishop b6. And here, still, we are move 10. I have 1 hour 26, so it means that I've spent 4 minutes, but I was a little bit walking around also, so it doesn't really mean anything. I have spent almost nothing. And here I have prepared rook e1. One of the ideas, okay, apart of protecting the e5 pawn, sometimes I will play bishop e3, trying to exchange this very strong bishop on b6. But instead of rook e1, there was a very interesting bishop sacrifice here that I have tried a little bit during the analysis, but I remember I found this line in the end of the analysis, so I didn't have too much time to check it. And I haven't seen it, so it was unclear to me. But actually, maybe white is slightly better here. After king h7, knight g5 check. King g6 is the only move. If king g8, simply queen h5, and this threat of queen h7 is killing black. So he needs to go king g6. Now queen d3 check. This is actually very typical in this position. This escape with king g6, because you cannot actually go to h6 because the bishop on c1 will destroy everything with, for example, knight f7 check. and next move you take the queen on d8. So king g6 is normal, queen d3 check is a typical maneuver, and after f5 then you go queen g3 and you are threatening to play, for example, knight e6 check. The best move for black here is just to go away with the queen, and now knight e6 is not so good because the black king escapes with king f7 or king h7, and position is unclear, but maybe there is this very interesting move here, 15th, rook e1, and maybe white is slightly better, but I didn't have the time to check it properly, or for some reason I didn't focus on this move before the game. But and I was pretty happy with my preparation anyway, but maybe this was even stronger than what I played in the game. Anyway, let's go back. He played bishop b6, so I played rook e1. He played f6, it's normal. Well, now again, bishop h7 is a threat, and it might be even stronger than before. So he went f6. It's a typical French break. He takes f6. And he decided to take with the knight on f6. Actually, queen f6 isn't such a bad move. It's also typical because with this knights on c6 and d7, you are threatening to play e5, e4 sometimes. Here, white probably is going bishop g5, queen f7, and something like bishop e3, and it looks a little bit better for white because now there is a threat with knight g5 or bishop h7, and also it's a good idea to change these bishops for white because the f2 pawn is a little bit weak and white is slightly better. So he took knight f6, and this was still in my preparation, of course. I played knight b d4. It's move 13, and my time is 1:26 still. So I'm playing basically instantly every move. He started to think already here. He played a little bit fast before this, but now he started to think, but he didn't think that much, and he played queen d6. If bishop d7, then bishop e3 is a very good move, because, as I said, trying to change these bishops is a very good idea, and even changing these knights is also good, and then we can make use of the e5 square. So he played queen d6. It's a very logical move, controlling the e5 square, and well, and then now black can develop the bishop with the queen in a very active position. I've played bishop e3, and here he was already surprised, and he thought for some time. It's not easy to play with black actually, because I'm threatening, for example, to play a move like knight b5, and then I will change the black squared bishops, or I will change on c6 and then change. You cannot really play bishop c7 because knight b5 is attacking both queen and bishop, and white will be much better. And a move like e5 right now doesn't work because knight c6, and after bc6, even for example knight e5, it's good enough because queen e5, bishop b6, and now the rook on e1 is attacking the queen, and we can go away with the bishop afterwards, and we have a big advantage here. So e5 is wrong too. Bishop c7 is also wrong. So knight g4 is a move that I have checked before the game as well, and bishop d7, I think simply knight b5, it's a clear positional advantage too. So basically he's kind of forced to go this move, but this is a position where all your moves look really bad, and knight g4 looks really dangerous because now I can play bishop h7 or even knight b5 as well. But knight b5, then queen d8, this is not so terrible because the knight on g4 is quite interesting. It's threatening e3 and it's attacking f2 sometimes. But to play knight g4, you need to calculate a lot. And this guy, Julio Sadorra, he was in a very confident mood, I guess, because he just drew with Magnus Carlsen a couple of rounds ago. So he trusted his calculating skills, and he went for knight g4 pretty fast. Anyway, I tried to use my psychological advantage here and to use my analysis and play super fast. So I wasn't really understanding very much what I was doing, but on the other hand, I knew the computer is giving bishop h7, and I was going to use this in my advantage. So I played bishop h7 pretty fast. Now to take on h7 is just bad, because knight g5, and then white collects the knight on g4, and it's clearly better, almost winning. So he played king h8, and here also I knew my computer was suggesting bishop c2, so I didn't want to think about it. I know it's a very complex position. There are many moves. Knight c6 is also very interesting. Even bishop g6 might be interesting, but, well, I knew a line, and I was going to follow it, because if you analyze with a computer and your opponent is following what you analyzed, well, I didn't want to invent gunpowder. No, if it's already invented, I'll just trust what my computer is saying. My computer plays better than me. My engine just definitely plays better than me, so I'm going to trust him. King h8, I played bishop c2. He played e5, it's the only justification of this. There is no other way to play, so he played e5. It's a very logical move. The black bishop on c8 starts to work and protects the g4 knight, and also the center of black is strong now. And this was everything under control. I played knight c6 instantly. I think here he probably missed something, because there are little tricks here, and probably the best move is to take on e3 with the bishop, fe3, bc6, queen d2, and now white seems to be better, but there is this move, rook f6, which makes things really complicated. But this is a very computer move, like. So bishop e3 was probably around equal, but I was confident enough that he will not find this kind of computer moves. He played rook e3, which seems a very natural move, and he was probably expecting after fe3, bc6, and black has full compensation, because the two bishops and the center are good enough for one pawn down only. But I played instantly rook e3. It's move 18, and my novelty, I think it was like around move 11 or something, move 11, 12. So rook e3 instantly. Well, he has to take the rook. There is no other move. If he takes bc6, now knight e5, bishop e3, knight g6, king g8, and now fe3, and white is probably winning with this queen h5 threat or knight f8. So bc6 is bad. He took quickly on e3. I took on e5. Once more, I'm threatening the bishop, and I'm threatening knight g6, so he has a forced move again, so he's still playing quite fast. He played bishop f2. I went king h1. I cannot take the bishop on f2 because he will just simply take on e5, and I will be exchanged down. So king h1 is a good move. And here he actually it was the first time he started to think. I was pretty worried because he already played 8-9 moves in a row pretty fast in a very complex position. It's true that some of these moves are simple or almost forced, but still it's worrying when your opponent is still so confident after you made a novelty. He thought a lot. I wasn't really sure what I was doing because he could play something like king g8, for example. But I knew if he doesn't play the move he played, which is bishop f5, I knew if this doesn't happen, then I have a clear advantage. I didn't know why, but at least I knew I'm better. So he played actually bishop f5, which is the best move. So he keeps still in my analysis, and this is move 20, and my clock has 1 hour 17 minutes, so I basically spent a little bit of time maybe remembering something, but I was pretty sure this was the line. Bishop f5, okay, I took on f5, he takes back, and now queen c2 is a very precise move. Otherwise, this will be a very stupid line because black has some material, extra material with the rook, but queen c2 is attacking both the rook and the bishop and creates some problem. And now rook e5 is not good because after knight e5, queen e5, queen f2, and white is a pawn up simply. So he played rook f8, which is a very precise move. I have to take queen f2. Everything is forced, so it's not so difficult to play like this because everything is almost forced. Now he took queen e5. If rook e5, queen h4 check, and white will take the rook afterwards with a little bit of advantage. So he took queen e5, knight e5, rook f2, knight g6 check. Well, just to mention that queen h4 wasn't working here on move 24 because king g8, and now I cannot take on e5 because rook f1 is made. So knight e5, rook f2, knight g6, king g8, knight f8, king f8, and rook b1. And here I remembered my computer was saying little tiny advantage for white. It's move 27 already, and this is probably my record of preparation, to make a novelty in the move 11 or 12 and to play 16 moves in a row almost without hesitation. And I had this computer, this position in my computer before the game. So well, but I was pretty sure objectively this game it should be a draw. But on the other hand, of course, white can be the only one playing for a win, of course, because we are pawn up. And also it reminds me of the game I have lost to Levon Aronian that I explained before, where I was very close to make a draw, but he was blitzing his moves all the time, and he was putting a big pressure on me because he had much more time than me, and he seemed to have everything under control, everything prepared. And here, so I was ready to try to play the same trick and to make my opponent feel the pressure. So he played g5, which looks like a normal move, more or less. I played h3. I want to go out with my king h2, king g3, and king f3. And this is it's a very natural plan. He played king e7, king h2. Now he played b5. Maybe this is already a mistake, but it's hard to realize this is a big mistake because actually this b5 weakens the c5 square, and sometimes this is going to be important. Probably something like bringing the king or moving the rook, like rook c2. This was more precise. But let's say, because this b5 looks quite logical as well, I played king g3, now rook d2, and king f3. Now he played king f6, it's bringing the king. And now, first of all, there was a move that I have completely missed during the game. It's a very interesting move, is rook f1. With the idea of after rook b2 to play rook f2. I totally missed this idea during the game, honestly. But when you play fast, sometimes it's hard to see all the details. And I was actually happy enough with the game I found, with the move I found instead of rook f1. But this is very interesting because it forces, because the end game is probably very bad. The king end game is just losing for black, probably because we have a pass pawn on the h file with g3 h4, and we will bring the king to e3 and d4. This should be winning. And after king b1, rook b1, king g4, king g6, rook f5, and white has a big advantage here. It's not sure it's completely winning because rook endgames are tricky always, but at least some big advantage for sure. So rook f1 was very good, but I was happy enough with this move a3, and well, he played a5 here, and maybe this move was again a mistake. Maybe he should have gone something like king f5, just to get the king closer to the action. Well, after a5, I played g3, and after g3 you realize why this move, b5 and probably even a5, are a little bit wrong, because now my king wants to give away this pawns on the king side to go and try to fish on the queen side, to try to go to via e3, d4, c5, b5, a5, and then to run with a b pawn or something. So let's say, for example, here after g3, king f5, king e3, rook g2, something like king d4, and I think black needs to be careful here still. There is some little chances for white to win, but of course rook endgames are drawish always, and it's still hard to win the game, but it's interesting. But he panicked a little bit here. He didn't like his position very much, but it's not so bad actually. He has some good drawing chances, but he a little bit panicked, and he played b4, which actually gives me a very good chances to win already, because I can take on b4 and now play a4, which is a very important move. And now this a pawn will provoke that his king has to go far or his rook needs to come back, and such an active rook will become passive, or the king that is in a good position will need to go far from the action. So this a4 move is very important. He played king e5. Maybe it's also wrong. Maybe rook d3 check was a better option, but it's already hard to find the differences. Of course, engines find it very easily, but it's a little bit tough for humans. He played king e5, which looks natural. a5, and now he tries to come with the king to put some pressure on the a5 pawn. But on the other hand, now I can create another pawn on the h file. So I went king g4, attacking g5. Of course, I have to be a little bit worried about this d pawn, which might become a little dangerous after d4, d3. But still, I was calculating a lot, and I thought this will be good enough. He played rook d3, stopping me from taking the g5 pawn, because then g3 is hanging. And now a very important move, very nice move, is rook c1. Because I'm cutting the king cannot stop this pawn anymore on a5, and I'm forcing the rook to go back and to stop the pawn. But if this rook gets passive, then my position is very good. So he went rook e3, a6, rook e8, and now, okay, already the pawn made his purpose, and now I can start already collecting the pawn on g5 and trying to advance the h pawn and create two pawns. If both pawns reach the 7th rank, then they will protect each other, as we will see in the game later. So he started to advance his pawn, d4, h4, king d5, h5, d3, h6, king d4, h7, d2, rook d1. Okay, I could have played rook h1 or something, but I didn't want to to calculate very deep, because I thought it was enough to play it very safe, which is to put the rook on d1, and when the king is coming, I will just sacrifice my rook on d2. So he played king d3, and now realize that, well, I played g4, but on any moment, actually it happened in the game, so I can just simply show it. g4, king c2, rook d2, king d2, king f6. Okay, this pawn on the g file is running very fast now, and there is no time for him to go king c2 and king b2. He tried rook a8, and now, as I said before, if you know this little trick that the pawns on the 7th rank, they protect themselves, you cannot never take one of those, because then the other will promote. If rook a7, then there is h8 and it's winning. And now simply this g pawn is just running and promoting. So a beautiful game, and we can see that sometimes I'm lucky enough also to catch my opponent into a preparation, and then it's very easy to play. You put a lot of pressure with the time, with the energy. You save a lot of energy in the opening. You save a lot of time. You play it, if not the best moves, almost the best moves in the beginning, because computer were suggesting it. So it helps a lot to know what you're doing and to play 27 moves from home preparation. This is rare. This is very strange, but still, in this game it worked perfectly. And well, thanks for watching. Well, let's remember then a few ideas that I spoke during these games. Well, first of all, don't try to go very sharp in the opening if you're not very well prepared, because this can get into some trouble for you. So just play solid if you are not sure about what you're doing. Also, of course, check the databases. Don't go just with the engine, because you need to know what people played before, because it's very probably going to happen in your game as well, because people like to follow a lot the other games. And try to understand what you're doing. It's very important to understand the ideas, and for this I really recommend you to use the chessboard. Okay, good luck. Thank you.